In 1914, the brand new colony of Atascadero, under the leadership of its founder, Edward Gardner Lewis, began work on the Atascadero Administration Building, a double-domed Italian Renaissance structure destined to become an icon for the city. 88 years later, that building was seriously damaged during the San Simeon earthquake. This is the story of how we put it back together.
Well, I think it's going to really help tell the Atascadero story. You know, most museums, you take the airplane museum north of us. They have big airplanes to draw your attention. A railroad museum has big steam engines and rail cars and Pullman cars you can go through. This is our big engine. This is a building that attracts you in. Say, who built that out here in the middle in 1914? What was just a plowed field? Who would build something like that? And then inside, you can learn both what the building's all about and the man who built it.
Replacing an elevator that was installed originally in the early 1900s was no easy task. First, the shaft had to be repaired and extended, as the original elevator was far too small to meet current codes. Next, a new elevator system had to be designed to modern access and emergency standards. Finally, the new elevator car would not be suspended by cables as its predecessor was. It would be supported by a giant piston installed at the bottom of the shaft, 50 feet below the basement.
All right, so this 100-ton crane is here today to lift the elevator piston into position down in the bottom of the elevator shaft. And he got here about an hour early and set the crane up for the arrival of the piston. And the piston and the sleeve that the piston sits in is roughly 60 feet long. And there's a hole down there at the bottom of the elevator pit that's 60 feet deep for that sleeve and piston to go into. Yeah, the other one was was a cable elevator. I think that the hydraulics are more reliable, and long term they have a longer life than a cable elevator. And this building, even though it's 4 stories high, it's still a low enough building to allow for a piston type elevator. When you get to a certain height, you can't do that anymore.
As the massive steel piston was lowered through the roof of the building and into the elevator shaft, it was the job of the men at the bottom of the shaft to guide it into place. The new elevator would feature access from the lower rotunda also, a feature not present in the original elevator. And the elevator was just one upgrade. Repairs to the building replaced air conditioning equipment as well as plumbing and wiring, and where there had once been outdated wiring and crumbling building infrastructure, the new building would include new state-of-the-art systems to fill the requirements of a modern office building. When the project was completed, the building appeared just as it had for nearly a century, but within its walls, there was 21st century technology.